We shall be talking here today to the specialist. That's why I'm excited. Grief is something that we all carry, but not always in the ways people expect. Okay. It's not only about losing a loved one, as you have explained to me numerous amounts of time. It can show up in quiet spaces in different ways. I don't want to take much time to talk about this because I'm here actually with the expert. And in a professional way, in her own words, she'll tell us what grief is all about. So if I might ask Coach Auntie, as we all call you, what is grief?
First of all, thank you for having this conversation with me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about grief. Like you rightly pointed out earlier, grief is a conversation that needs to be had. We need to have this topic, this conversation. And I'm glad that you've given me the opportunity and the platform to talk more about it, because I it's something that is so dear to me. I feel like we don't talk about it enough, especially in our community. Grief is our natural response to any type of change, loss, or transition in life. Anytime we experience any type of change, transition, or loss in our lives, we are going through some kind of grief. And it's a process. Grief is a process. It is a journey. I say to people that grief is a journey and gratitude is the destination. Grief is the journey, gratitude is the destination. So grief is the natural response that us as human beings we express when we go through any type of loss, change, or transition. That's the simplest and easiest definition I can give to grief.
So, from what I do understand, grief is beyond losing a loved one. Okay. So, grief could be maybe an event,
Mm-hmm.
a change of lifestyle. As
Mm-hmm.
we grow older, you get
Mm-hmm.
sick, unfortunately, and you might have to
Mm-hmm.
deal with a condition that you are not used to.
Correct.
And then grief actually insets itself. So,
Correct.
how are we, because we do have the tools. I'm talking about people like you around you, but we never use it. When I say we, I'm talking specifically us African men, us, the NVT. We have the national veteran coming up in 2 3 weeks, and the reason why I want to talk specifically about NVT is because a team like Gwinnett Veterans in the past year or 6 months, they've lost about 3 members.
Mm-hmm.
One of whose I think you attended the burial of Nyamboli,
Yes.
right? Okay.
I was.
So before Nyamboli was I think one of their members passed away. Then Nyamboli. Then after Nyamboli, there has been another loss in that community. So how do we actually use the tools around us in order to guide us through these periods?
That's a great question. Before I jump into that question, I just want to piggyback on something that you said about the different ways that grief can manifest, right? Grief can
Yes.
manifest in so many adverse ways beyond the physical being, beyond the human being. Because most times when we hear about grief, the first instinctively we think about the loss of a full person, a human being. And there are so many ways that we can grieve, or so many ways that grief can impact us, right? For example, when you lose a relationship, you've been with someone and all of a sudden the relationship is no longer there. You go through that process of grief, and sometimes we don't even realize that we are experiencing grief. Divorce, that's part of grief. Loss of intimacy. There are some people in a relationship, right? And because of maybe a traumatic experience or a health experience, one of the partners might not be as intimate as they used to be. That couple will experience some kind of grief of intimacy that they used to have, right? Loss of aspects of life, like health. You talked about the National Veteran Tournament. Someone who used to be as active, as a horse, all of a sudden they can no longer play soccer. They can no longer run as they used to run. Their health is deteriorating. That is the loss of the healthy life that they used to have. So the process of grieving takes place during that time when they no longer can be as active as they used to. Old age. We go through old age. Our kids are getting older. We forget that we're getting older as well. Women go through menopause. They go through menopause as well. So you start losing certain aspects of your life, and it comes with frustration. And when we don't understand that we are grieving as we go through those changes in our lives, we become frustrated. But when we accept those changes, we now process them and grieve them as we journey along into accepting the person that we are becoming. The loss of a career, your dream job, or getting fired, people losing their homes, losing their jobs, losing their community, moving from one community to the next, or relocating. All that is part of grieving, because you're going through a transition in your life, you're going through a change in your life. Those changes, those losses are under the process of grieving. So when you talk about, what can the community do, the veteran community, to avoid what they're experiencing about the death that they're experiencing? That's a good question, because I believe that there are so many transitions that are taking place. Teammates, if we normalize the conversation about grief, where we can talk about it without being judged, regardless of how we are grieving or how someone is perceiving your grief. If we create an atmosphere where people can just talk about their feelings, then we open that door for guys, especially African men, our African brothers, can talk more about how they feel and share how they are feeling as they go through the process of grief. The community is mourning 3 deaths within a year. So that's a lot. It takes a toll on people.
Yes, of course. I mean, that's a lot, because I spoke to one of the net veterans players, and he was actually telling me, what they are going through emotionally. So I think it's getting better as far as we talking about it. And the community already does, like the community of veterans already does a lot when it comes to financial, and to help these guys, financially taking care of, the funerals and stuff like that. But as you say, some of this grief is not only losing loved ones. There's a quiet grief. Maybe you lose your job and you're not vocal enough because of the stigma. You don't want to let everybody know that you're going through some hard times. So how do we actually use the tools? Let's say I don't want to say talk to my friend. I don't want to talk to someone I just met, but people like you, the professionals. I mean, how do our communities start using people like you? We're talking about gravitating towards the professionals that can actually give us professional help.
Well, the first thing is that when we start talking about grief, it's inevitable, right? When we start normalizing this conversation, we're allowing ourselves and giving ourselves the permission to talk about it. So when we start talking about it, then people have that freedom to acknowledge when they are experiencing the grief, right? And then they create that time for reflection and introspection, where you create that time for yourself and you decide that, okay, I think I'm going through something here that I need help, where you can express yourself. If you don't know how to express yourself verbally, you can write. You say go write a journal and write how your feelings are. If you cannot find someone that you truly trust, who can listen to you without judgment, who can listen to you without trying to fix what the problem is. If you cannot find someone that you can trust, you cannot find a support system, and you feel like your sadness is prolonging, you're having difficulties functioning, and you feel like you're slowly withdrawing yourself from the community and from the society, you're having unresolved anger and guilt, that's when you get to know that your grief is really intense and you need help. And there are groups out there, there are support groups out there where you can reach out, and you can now go on those support groups and see how you can find help, and then reach out to those that offer those services, like grief coaches like myself. You can go to counseling, you can go, some people will say I'll go to my pastor, you can go to your pastor. You just need to reach out to those people that you know that will create that safe space for you, can listen and will journey with you to give you these tools and resources that you need to go through your grieving process. Does that answer the question that you're asking?
Yes, of course. That answers the question. I do understand that we have to talk about this. We have to be develop, a mindset of talking about these things among ourselves, and try to reach out to professionals like you. But now I will take it maybe another level, a step up. Our community, I'm talking about the NVT as a
Yes.
group. How do we tackle these things? Because, for instance, when we talk about grief, or where we talk about things that affect us psychologically,
Mm-hmm.
we regard ourselves like sportsmen, although we are
Mm-hmm.
in a veteran level, amateur level, but the mindset or psychological things that do affect us affect our output on the pitch, how we
Mm-hmm.
play. Sport actually interconnected with our psychology and stuff like that. So if you are not in the right mindset, you can give a bad performance like on the court, regardless of what type of sports you are playing. So how do groups like the activity leverage platforms like your own, in order to be in a better state of mind when we go out for for these competitions? Because keep in mind, it's 4 days of football, it's four
Mm-hmm.
days of partying, it's 4 days of drinking.
Yeah.
How do we actually be in the right mindset where we can go and have fun during this period of time, and also come back safely and be in a better mindset?
The NVT Brotherhood is a great community, and it's grown as as the time goes by. And I remember when they started this thing, it was a joke, and now it's a huge organization. And I give kudos to the organizers. How your question has a lot of parts to it. We gotta talk. We shouldn't forget what our culture is, right? Our culture has a
Yes.
lot to play with how we behave, how we respond to situations, right?
Yes.
The NVT is made out of men, African men, Cameroonian men. When it comes to grief, I remember when you and I had a conversation, I said the all this is us coming and talking about this person who is dead. The funeral is a phase, it's just a little phase of the process. The grieving starts after that person goes down 6 feet. That's when the grieving process starts for the loved ones. As big as this veteran community has become, death and dying is something that should be one of their biggest topic on the platform, because we are dying, we're getting older, it's inevitable. And to prepare members for this journey that we're all going to embark on eventually at some point in our lives, as they go out there each year and they play and they enjoy and they have all this celebration, is to have this conversation, right? Teammates and coaches create a safe environment and encourage teammates to be vulnerable without the fear of being criticized. Challenge the harmful stereotypes. What do I mean by challenging the harmful stereotypes? Men not expressing their emotions enough. If you look back in our culture, you look back at our forefathers, men were not raised to express their emotions. You have to be strong. You have to be stoic. You have to be the man of the house. You got to lead. So boxing that emotion, pick up your boots and continue going. So when someone is grieving, you guys have 4 deaths in the community. When someone is grieving, as much as they might be in pain or hurting, they don't feel like they need to express themselves to the full of their capacity, because they don't know if they're being called a weakly or not being man enough, right? So the community creates that environment where they are challenging those harmful stereotypes and making everyone feel comfortable to say, you know what, I am grieving, I am hurt, my dad is not feeling well, and I don't know if I'm good enough to play or I'm good enough to attend the convention this weekend. So if they normalize that conversation, if we normalize preparing for our death, that's another thing too. Because it's not only talking about those who are dying, it's talking about us too who are still alive. Having that conversation with teammates, the coaching, and the community, having education about the life and dying. Are we preparing ourselves enough for our loved ones? Because remember, when we die, we're gone. The loved ones are the ones who are going to stay behind, arguing, fighting about what to do, where to bury you, how to go about, all your assets or whatever you're leaving behind. So having those conversations and not just making this a community of drinking and dancing and playing soccer, it goes a long way, because this is a huge community, right? It's a huge community that has grown exponentially. So if they incorporate all that into it, and then also incorporating offering professional grief support to members, or collaborating with mental health partnership in such a way that they can have mental health conversations, bring professionals in there to talk about things like this, to talk about what you and I are talking about to members, and just having that conversation with them. It will be much, much easier for teammates to talk about it when they are not in a good space, when they feel like they are hurting, when they feel like someone is dying, or they themselves are not feeling good about what is happening in their life or in their family. But they can also create a bereavement group. NVT can create a bereavement group in the community, a bereavement group that can reach out to members who are bereaved, and the members of the bereavement group can be people who are good listeners, who are able to reach out to a member, talk to that member, give them the support that they need without judging. People who are empathetic, because A guy will want to talk to someone who listens to them. A guy is not going to feel comfortable talking to someone who is going to judge, ah, man, that man is too weak. They might just keep crying all the time. You know, every time I talk about their dad, they just cry all the time. So you want to be able to
Yeah.
put together a team of members or a team of guys who will create that safe space for their peers who might be experiencing grief to open up and talk to them about what they are experiencing.
Yeah, I think we do have that, although we don't have them named. We do have, like, when someone loses a loved one, we have members calling and things like that. However, I think where we need to fill the gap, where we actually need to have more help, is when all that is said and done, and you're still having issues, for members to be able to come to professionals like you, because believe me, we have a solid, community where we
Mm-hmm.
watch out for everyone. They also do like community service and stuff like that. So these guys go above and beyond. However,
They do.
where there is a gap is
Mm-hmm.
that professional help. When,
Mm-hmm.
because these things lead to mental health,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, they lead to
Oh yeah.
mental health. So that's what I'm talking about. When, for instance, your community has not been able to help you and you're still feeling like, you need some help,
We need
you know,
more.
exactly, you need more, then that's where transformative life coaching LLC comes in. So
That's
that's
where we
the
come
gap
in.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to fill. Exactly. So I think that where we can improve, or where we can build on upon, is that we have people like you, or like your services, directly attached, like, to the NVT in such a way, in one way or the other. And that's something I'm going to talk to the guys, so that we can have these tools, you know, ready for us to use. We know that we have these tools, and we have to
Right.
go whatever we need to do in order to have your services. We have to encourage members to gravitate towards people like you that can help professionally. Because I can tell a friend like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm coming, I'm there for you," but I don't know the signs of,
Yeah.
mental health, depression. Like my mom died because of depression.
Mm-hmm.
So these things are real. I saw my sisters and all that, even me.
Yeah.
So these things are actually real, but not
Yeah.
everybody is as strong as the next person in order to deal with these issues by themselves. Even when you think you're strong, you might not be doing the right things in order to get out from that situation. So I think that's the gap we should be trying to fill. I mean, I will
Yeah.
let you talk about it more.
And just to piggyback on what you said, and sometimes you have individuals experiencing those feelings without their knowing. They can be experiencing
Exactly.
those feelings without their knowing. Someone can actually be going through depression or going through grieving without even realizing that that's what they're experiencing. That's why I was trying to list some of the signs that when you feel like you're experiencing the prolonged sadness, your difficulty functioning, you find yourself isolating a lot, you find yourself physical symptoms. Sometimes some people will just start talking, oh, my body aches, I'm having a lot of headache, my back hurts, and my knee is hurting me. All those unnecessary headaches and aches all over. Your body is reacting to something. Your body is reacting to something that is unknown to you, or that you even don't understand where you cannot really put a finger on why your body is reacting that way. But those are some of the signs. Suicidal thoughts, feeling like I'm not good enough, I don't need to be here. If I leave, no one will miss me, no one cares about me, I'm not loved, and then you start thinking of unhealthy coping mechanisms, start drinking a lot, all of a sudden you pick up smoking, and those are some of the signs that when you start experiencing, you're like, okay, something is wrong here. Friends are reaching out, you're not calling back, you're not texting back, that's when you've gone beyond the grieving process. That's when you've gone beyond filling the gap or trying to make reasons why or come up with excuses why you're feeling that way, you know. And that's where you say, if you're someone who is very aware of those changes that you're experiencing, if you're aware of it, that's when you say, okay, I need to talk to somebody. Another thing too I'm going to point out is that one of the reasons why people hold back from reaching out for help is is that they are scared. They have the fear of being labeled or stigmatized. So the more, and I keep emphasizing on us having this conversation, because the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it. In our community, we have this notion of, oh, I'm scared because we're going to talk about it. This person is going to take it here. They're going to gossip about my name. So I'm just going to stay in my corner. I'm going to try to deal with it the way best I can. But you're dying. You're climbing up and you're getting worse and worse. So asking for help is something that we struggle a lot with. We sit with it because we don't want it to be out there. So trust is something that we really, really need to work on. And that's what I say sometimes, that look for someone that you know can actually hold whatever you share with them in confidence. Look for someone that you can talk to. Not someone to fix it. Because grief is not fixable. Mental health, you cannot fix it. But when someone can listen to you and hear what you're saying, it validates your feelings. It validates what you're going through. But you cannot get that validation until you talk to somebody. So we need to learn to be able to express ourselves on what we are experiencing or what we are going through. That's what I say. Make time for you, create that time for you, do some introspection, do some reflection. Ask yourself, what is happening to me? Why am I feeling this way? Why all of a sudden I'm feeling this kind of shift going on with me? Only you know yourself. You know yourself more than anyone else. So when you feel like you're not in that headspace that you're used to, something odd is happening. And in order for you to unravel what is happening, you got to sit back with yourself and go through that checklist. Why am I feeling this way? When did it start, or when did it happen? Where was I when I started feeling this way? How does it make me feel? And when I'm in that space, how do I react? What are the triggers? What gets me to that space? And what time of the day, what time of the week do I find myself in that space?
So basically, what you're saying is that you have to take time listen to your body, sit in quiet environments, and give yourself some time. And sometimes it's easier said than done, right? Because life in America, fast paced, you're doing one thing and the other, dropping the kids, driving around. So there's basically sometimes no time, right? But this is how I actually dealt with some of the issues that I had, right? Going to the gym, I started playing more tennis, and that helped my body relax, change of mindset, get to know myself. Isolated myself for many. You don't see me around a lot, so give me
I
more
know that.
time. Exactly, that gave me more time to get to know myself. So that's some of the ways. I don't know what you think about that, but that's
Yeah.
some of the things I did in order to get to know myself better and deal with some of the issues that I was having.
Yeah, and that works for you, right? When you pause and you realize that you got to stop. You got to press the pedal and take a break and reset. You found something that was an outlet for you, and that something was tennis. That was your outlet. That is your you time. I call it my me time. That is a
Yep.
time where you release. That's a time where you do your examine. That's the time when you do your examine. I call it report card. That's the time when you do your examine. Because when you're in that your me time, you're able to reflect, you're able to check your boxes and have that feel of what is going on with you, both in and out. Everyone is different. But one thing that I keep emphasizing, you talk about us being busy, and you got to make time. We got to make time. We got to set ourselves as priority. We got to make time. Sometimes it's just 30 minutes. It takes just 30 minutes. We got to prioritize ourselves for our well-being, because this is our mental health. It is our mental health. The soccer veterans thing, that is a great initiative. That's a great community. These guys go out there, play soccer, have fun, and that's their outlet, right? If that is your outlet, make that your outlet, make that your me time, and not only have fun doing it, get something out of it too. For you, it's tennis, but you're not only playing the tennis, you're also doing some introspection while playing tennis. So you're achieving two things at the same time. You're doing something athletic, and at the same time, you're checking in with yourself, which is something that can be incorporated with what these guys are doing. So we can have fun, we can eat, we can dance, we can drink, and all that stuff. What else are we getting out of it? When we go practice the soccer, when we go, what else are we, apart from the hospitality, apart from the drinking, apart from the fun, what are we getting out of it? So some people
Exercise.
Exactly. And what? We're getting exercise, and what else? Apart from that food, exercise, and what else? So
You can be a brother's helper.
Be your brother. So exactly. So what I advise my client is pick something that you love to do and make it your me time moment, where you're not only engaged in that activity, you're also having that quiet time within you, that you're doing some introspection and an examine. I run, as you know. I'm an avid runner. For me, that's my me time. When I run marathons with no earbuds. I don't listen to anything. It's just me and me. And when I tell people that I don't wear any earbud or listen to anything, they can't believe it, but I don't. It's all about a mindset and what you want to get out of a moment, what you want to get out of what you're doing, right? So if you are knitting, if you love to knit, some people might be knitting and they have a TV going on, they're watching their favorite show. That's what they choose to do. But they can also decide that during that knitting, they can pause that show for 30 minutes and just focus on that knitting and them in and out. So they're gaining something while enjoying their passion. So when we do that examine, then we are checking in within ourselves and seeing what is not sitting well, which area are we struggling in with, and what do we need to change? Am I still grieving? Am I still feeling guilty? Because that's another thing, that's another aspect of grieving, feeling guilty.
Guilt.
Right? Feeling guilty is another process of grieving. Remember, we grieve because we love. We grieve because we love. You don't grieve, you don't grieve something that you don't love. We grieve because we love. So grieving comes with love. And guilt is a huge part of grieving. When I'm talking when I talk about the bereavement group, where you say that the veteran group has a group of people who reach out and all whatnot. My question is it a continuous process? Because that grieving, for some people, it takes years. There's no timeline. That's where the professionals come in.
Exactly. Because believe me, your friends have their own
Your
issues
friends
they
can
go
only
through,
do
right?
so much. Your
Yeah.
friends can only do so much, and your family can only do so much. And this is what I say. I went to a funeral one time, and I was talking to the sibling. They had lost their mom. I was talking to her and extending my condolences. And I said, I hope that after the burial, you're going to allow yourself to grieve. And please, please stay with your feelings. Do not try to rush your feelings. I say, so allow yourself to grieve. I say, I know right now everything is crazy right now. You are walking on adrenaline right now. So
Let me tell you one thing, right? You remember we having that conversation, we're at the coffee shop, and I was telling you like some of the things that you said did not dawn on me until maybe afterwards. Because knowledge without a clear path, right? It's like a map with no roads. Okay. So you have that knowledge.
mm-hmm,
You voicing your knowledge. You're telling me what you know and what you deeply understand. But for me, it's like a path or a map with no roads. It's hard
mm-hmm,
to follow and easy to get lost because I
mm-hmm,
don't understand that in that moment.
mm-hmm,
However, through repetition
mm-hmm.
and doing certain things constantly, that's what finally dawns to me that, oh, now I get it. And now I understand, you know. So sometimes it's difficult to get us, the veterans, us African men, macho
Yeah.
men,
Mm-hmm.
macho men. That's how we were taught over and
Yes.
over for close to
Yes.
50 years now. So it's
Yeah.
difficult for us to really get to understand what you are preaching. So it has to be like a repetition, or there's something that event happened.
Repetitive. Yeah. Repetitive. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
yeah,
I totally agree with you.
there's an
I
event
totally
that
agree
happened.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Then now you're in the position of able to receive. You humble yourself. You're able now to receive. You're in the position now. You're like a sponge. You're able to
Mm-hmm.
soak all that knowledge because now you are in a position of weakness.
Yeah.
But we should not wait until that happens. We should be proactive. So that's why I will like you. I will love my people to start changing their mindset, changing their mentality, especially as old, right? We're getting weaker. So we need to start paying attention to these things. We grieve because we love. Guilt is also a huge part of grieving. That stands out. That's what I actually get from my conversation with you today. Any final words?
What I can say as we wrap up this conversation is that to my African community and especially my Cameroon community is death and dying is inevitable. We need to, it's never too early to start talking about death and dying, and it's never too late to start talking about death and dying. We need to start having that conversation with our loved ones. We need to start share with your loved ones what you want to happen when you're no longer here. Where do you want to be buried? How do you want to be buried? How we need to start normalizing the conversation, because the more we talk about it, the more it becomes easier for us to ask questions. And the more it becomes easier for us to be open into the grieving process, especially our brothers, our African brothers, our Cameroonian brothers and men. Our culture raised you guys to be macho, to be the man of the house, not to cry, not to show your emotions. And that comes with a lot of consequences. So if we can start having that conversation with our loved ones, talking about what our desires are when we are no longer here, the best thing that you can do, that we can do to our loved ones, is to have these conversations. That's the best gift that we can give our loved ones. Having these conversations. And for a group like the veteran group, the teammates having the conversations amongst themselves, making it okay for someone to come in and just break down, knowing that the brothers are going to rally around them and support them in their grief, and not feel embarrassed, not feel ashamed to cry, to talk about how they are feeling, and continue with the process. So let's normalize the conversation of grief. The more we talk about it, the more easier it will become for us, because it's here. Death is inevitable. We're all gonna go. It's just a matter of when.
Of when?
It's a matter of when.
Thank you for that. And just to close up, how do I know your website, right? And it's I don't know, is it
Yes, my website,
transformativelifecoaching.com?
transformative life coach, transformative life coaching .com, tlifecoachinggrief.com, T as in Tom, lifecoachinggrief.com.